Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, host, director, producer, cameraman, all of the above. My wife Chris, off to the side, working hard as always. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back for more, you're a glutton for punishment, but I'm always glad to have you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you want, not pressing the issue. Don't even always like to ask. But on Thursdays, for the most part, we bake things. Occasionally, we'll go out and look at the garden, which if I get to a video Tuesday, which I'm hoping to, you'll see clips of the garden and everything's growing like gangbusters. I got jalapenos coming in. I've got tomatoes blooming forever. Really kind of exciting because it's the beginning of what will be a beautiful growing season, I think. As long as the weather stays nice, hot, and humid like it has been, we should be in really good shape. Anyhow. So today we're going to make a coffee cake. I got this recipe from Views on the Road. Steph and Claude are the people that are on Views. She does a lot of Mexican cuisine, and she cooks at home. Yeah, that's what Steph does. She is a stay-at-home mom who homeschools her kids. She cooks for her family 3 meals a day. And she allows you to be a part of her cooking experience. She makes some of the most amazing dishes out there. If you get a chance, check out her channel. It's absolutely awesome. So anyhow, today we're making coffee cake. We're going to do this in 3 steps. First, we're going to make the batter, and then we're going to make the filling that goes in the coffee cake, and then we're going to make the crumb, and then we're going to stick it in the oven. It sounds like a lot of work. It does have a few moving parts, but it's really not hard. I already tested this recipe a couple weeks back, and it's absolutely an amazing coffee cake. Most coffee cakes I've had in my lifetime are dry. This one is not. It's got a nice moistness to it. It's full of flavor. Chris really liked it. Sarah really liked it. I don't think Abby got any of it. Which is okay. Abby's not, she struggles sometimes to try new things. So anyhow, first thing we're going to do is, the very first thing we're going to do is go ahead and turn our oven on 350 degrees. Make sure there's nothing in there. Of course, there is something in there. We store pots and pans in our oven. That's a fact of life. As you start collecting dishware and things like that in your kitchen, you will run out of space unless you have a monster kitchen. Growing up, that's where most of our pans stayed, our baking pans. Alright, so anyhow, we're going to turn this on 350. Done. That should be the first thing you do also. The next thing we're going to need to do now that that's heating up is we're going to have to get our ingredients together. I will give an ingredients list for each section of this as we do them. Because there is quite a few ingredients here, and I personally just don't have enough bowls to put them all in at once. So the first thing we're going to do is make our batter. All right, and like I said, then we'll make our our filling layer, and then we'll make our topping. To make our batter, this is basically a butter cake batter, but it's a good batter all the same. We will need 3 1/4 cups of flour. 3 1/4 cups of flour. The next thing we're going to need is 1 1/4 cups of milk plus 1/4 cup. I will explain that. I've got the full 1 1/2 right here. Let me explain that real quick. When we pour our milk into this batter, you want to start with 1 1/4 cups. And depending on its thickness, which will depend on the flour you use, the humidity in your kitchen, blah, 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 you may need to add more milk. I know from making this previously, it's going to take 1 1/2 cups. So you want to reserve like 1/4 cup of your 1 1/2 cups to just add to it. And I'll show you what your batter should look like, and I'll show you what it looks like, at least in my case, at 1 1/4 cups, so you see the difference. All right, so the next thing we're going to need is 3/4 of a cup or 3/4 of a stick of butter right there. And you want that room temperature. You want it soft because we're going to mix it. Then we're going to need 3 eggs. 3 eggs right there. All right, and you want those also at room temperature. And then we're going to need 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and you want that packed. Okay, so you ask what is packed. I mean, I'm sure some of you know, maybe most of you, but there's always somebody that doesn't know, and I don't want to leave anybody out. When you put your sugar into your measuring cup, okay, you're going to want to pack it down so it's firm. Brown sugar is very moist, so it stays kind of fluffy, if that makes any sense at all. So you want to, once you scoop it out in your third of a cup, you want to pack it down, and then scoop some more and pack it down, and then level it off. All right, so we got our third cup of brown sugar. You're going to need 1.5 cups of regular white granulated sugar. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. We use kosher salt. If you use kosher salt, and this is just a recommendation based on lots of experience, you want to kind of grind it up a little, even if it's just with your fingers. Kosher salt comes naturally as like a big salt compared to table salt. And what will happen if you don't grind it up, you'll inevitably get like not all the salt will break down, and somebody's going to get a bite of coffee cake that has a really salty taste to it, and it'll be just literally a bite. And it's never you who made the cake; it's always somebody else. In our house, it's usually Chris. So 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, right there. And you're going to need 2.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So, tools you will need. Give me 1 second because I forgot to get one of the tools out. It's the most important tool. Ugh. See, this is what I call real life baking. I also do the same thing when I cook. I forget things. You will forget to get things out too. I know I preach and try to practice being prepared. But you will really only need 2 things, okay? A couple of things at any rate. I mean, you'll need measuring cups and a couple bowls and a hand mixer. If you have a stand mixer, you can use that. If you just have a whisk, you can use that. But I prefer to use a hand mixer. So following the directions on this, the first thing we're going to do is grab our bowl. And I'm going to bring you down so you can see what we're doing. Let me bring you down to the counter. Even though I know you're just going to miss looking at my pretty face, but that's all right. This is way more important, way more fun, and tastes way better. So, first thing we're going to do, all right, after we've turned our oven on 350 degrees, is in a larger bowl, we're going to put our butter, like I said, at room temperature, our brown sugar, our sugar, our salt, our baking powder, right? Yep. And our vanilla. So basically we're going to put all our this is the start of our wet ingredients. Sugar, oddly enough, is considered a wet ingredient. Why? I don't know. But yeah, I just know that seems to be the way the rules are. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up real quick and start on low or you'll have it flying everywhere. So we're getting a dust bowl going. Okay, got that going. Then we're going to add our eggs. We're going to do this 1 egg at a time, okay? So that means I'm just going to dump 1 egg yolk out, and it seems to naturally bring 1 egg with it. Then we'll go ahead and add a second egg. Make sure we get that incorporated in real good. Then I'm going to go grab a spatula real quick so we can scrape down the sides. That's important. You know, you want to keep your sides scraped down, even if you're using a stand mixer. You know, the heavy-duty KitchenAid or whatever your preference is. You know, you will want to stop occasionally and scrape down the sides. That way, you know you're getting everything incorporated. Then we'll put our third egg in, get it mixed. Alright. That is what we look like at this point. We've got a nice batter. It's kind of tan, you know, smooth. You want it to be smooth. Yeah. If it's not smooth, just keep mixing a little bit. I mean, if your butter was a little cold, you know, wasn't quite room temperature, that's okay. Just keep mixing till it is, you know, till it gets smooth. Alright, so now at this point, we're going to kind of do we're going to alternate. I need a measuring cup. Any measuring cup will do, because what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of milk in, then I'm going to put a little bit of flour in. Alright, so we're going to just put a little bit of milk in, and we're going to mix it up. And then we're going to put a little bit of flour in. Okay, now when you put your flour in, your hand mixer, I know everybody has a tendency to want to turn this on high, just like your paddle mixer. Start out on low. If you don't, all that flour is going to shoot up right into your face, and you'll remember to never do that again. I know, I had it happen to me the first time. Even after I watched videos and they said, don't start your mixer on low, or you're going to end up with a face full of flour. I did it anyhow. You know. And then we're going to add more milk and then flour, and we're going to alternate this until we've used up all our milk and flour. But I do want to show you what it looks like, what it'll look like at the quarter step. A little bit of flour in there. It'll be very thick. You know, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to incorporate the rest of the flour without that last quarter cup of milk, so I can show you what it looks like at 1 1/4 cup. And basically, I'm getting ready to show you what it looks like, what you don't want it to look like. And there goes our oven, so we're good to go there. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick what you don't want your... This is how you know, if you start out with 1 1/4 cup, which is what the directions say, of milk, see how it doesn't quite flow yet? It's just kind of, you know, lumpy. It doesn't flow smoothly like melted chocolate or caramel, you know, off your spatula. So what you'll want to do is go ahead and add, and you might want to only add like a tablespoon or two at a time. But like I said, I know in my case, it's going to take 1.5. And a lot of that just depends on your flour and the humidity in your house. Because what happens is everybody buys flour and it's kind of the same, but depending on the humidity in your house, your flour may collect some of that moisture, and how you store your flour is another one. So, and I know we do ours in fairly airtight seals. I've got a big container downstairs that's got a bunch of flour in it, and then our one up here also has a seal on it. So I'll go ahead and get this mixed up, and then that way you can kind of see it's supposed to be smooth and creamy and light in color. So now our batter is where it needs to be. I can see it just by looking at it and mixing it. But see how when I pick it up, see how nice and smooth that pours off? That is what you want right there. It's got a nice smooth texture to it. And you'll know it. You'll know it when you see it. Like I said, after you put that initial 1 1/4 cups in, you'll look. I mean, if it's fine the way it is, leave it that way. But if you need to add more milk, only add about a teaspoon to a tablespoon at a time until you get it to where it flows smoothly off your spatula, and that way you know. Okay, so let me get things cleaned up right here, and we're going to move on to the filling next. Okay, we'll set this to the side, make our filling, and then when we're done with that, we'll make our crumb topping. And then we're going to put it all together in a 9x13 pan. So, that being said, I'll get cleaned up. When I come right back, we'll move on to the next step, guys. So, got the mess cleaned up just to create a whole new mess, right? So now we'll move on to the filling. The filling is really easy. It is 3 parts, and you can really only make it 2. One of the parts is optional. So you've got 1 cup of brown sugar. You have got 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder, and then you need literally just 1 pinch of salt. So the cocoa powder is optional. All right, it doesn't add flavor; it adds color. It's not enough to give it flavor with all the other stuff. And then the pinch of salt is literally just a small pinch of salt. What it does is it kind of balances out, believe it or not, just that little bit of all that sweetness in the brown sugar. So once you get that done, all you're going to do is just mix this up real good, And then, as I was told, I've never actually had this happen. You want to watch when you mix dry cocoa, it will powder up like your flour and get in your face and make you sneeze and cough. I don't know that to be true because I've never had it happen, but that's what I hear. So, just so you know, a little bit of local gossip that I heard, through the grapevine. But once you get those mixed up, you are in good shape with your filling. Let me get this mixed up a little bit more and I'll show it to you so you know what you're looking for. And then we can just move on to the crumb topping right from here. And the crumb topping is actually kind of fun because you get to use your fingers and make a mess. All right, and there is our crumb topping with the brown sugar, cocoa, and just a little bit of salt, a pinch, literally just a pinch, not even a measurement, just a pinch. That is the measurement, it's a pinch. All right, so we've got our filling made. The next thing we're going to make is our topping. Let me bring you down a little bit and so you can kind of see where we're at here. There we are. All right. Things you will need for your crumb topping is 1 cup of flour, just all-purpose regular flour. In most of my videos, if I just say flour or sugar, unless I specify otherwise, it's going to be plain old flour, all-purpose flour, and it's going to be granulated white sugar. You will need 1 cup of granulated white sugar, which is hard to see because I got it in a white bowl, but it's there. You will also need 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. You will need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The last ingredient you need is 8 tablespoons of butter, which is 1 stick of butter. Okay, it's 1 stick of butter, and you want it cubed up. Big, small, it's completely up to you, but you want to cut it up, and you'll see why here in a second. So we're going to take our flour, we're going to put our sugar in there. We'll put our cinnamon in there. And before you freak out, my counter is clean. And our salt. Set the dishes off to the side here in the sink, and we're going to mix that all together. Now your butter, talk about that for a second. We're going to want your butter not necessarily room temperature, but not brick hard. Okay, like bring it out of the fridge maybe 5-10 minutes before you need to use it. Okay, so you want to kind of think ahead on it. And the reason being is because we're gonna incorporate it into our mix right here. So, and in order to do that, you want it to be somewhat, kind of, sort of soft. Like I just got it out of the fridge 5 minutes ago, soft. All right, that's what we look like prior to. All right, got a nice blend, just have a light brownness to it. And then we're just gonna put our butter in here, like such. This is how you make a streusel topping. Yeah, in case you were wondering. It's a crumb topping is what it is, but yeah. You make it into when you make a streusel, this is pretty much it. Put your little clumps of butter in there. I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but I have them cut up relatively small. Yeah, and then you're literally just going to take your hands and get in there, and you're going to just smush your butter into your flour sugar mix. Okay? Until it's all incorporated in. Alright. So, I'm going to get this taken care of, and when I come back, we'll put it all together. Alright? See you here in a millisecond. Okay, so I got it all mixed up by hand. I love that stuff. And here's what you're looking for. If you squeeze it together, it should stay together, like that. Pretty much, and you want it to all look wet. You know, that's how you know you're in good shape. Okay, so now we're down to the grand finale, the final of it all. We're going to take our batter and we're going to pour half of it in the pan. Okay. So we're using a 9x13 pan, like I mentioned earlier, and I did spray it with a non-stick spray. You could also use butter or margarine or whatever you have available. And we're gonna even this out like such. Yeah, but you want to make sure your pan is good and sprayed. Even it out, good. And then we're gonna take half our filling, or I mean, you can use as much as you want on this layer. It's completely up to you. Yeah, but you want to give it a good cover. At any rate, if you can still see spots, that's okay. I mean, it's all we're doing is giving it its filling. So we got our filling. All right, a little more on there. Why not? Because we're going to swirl this in a little, so it's okay if you don't get it all. And then we're going to do the rest of our batter. Okay, on top of that, and when you pour it on, you want to give it kind of a even pour. Alright, so now we're going to spread that out. Looks like I'm sinking. And that's alright. It doesn't have to be completely even. And I'll show you why here in a second. Alright, so we got our second layer of batter on there. Then we're going to take some more of the filling. We're going to sprinkle that on. And then here's my favorite part. We're going to wash our hands off again. Then we're going to take a toothpick. Hi, Abby. And we're just going to swirl through. What this will hopefully do is give it a nice swirl in the coffee cake. I have. And then we're going to take our crumble that we made, and we're just going to crumble this on top of it, like such. And it's okay if you got big pieces. You know, the butter will still do some melting, but it'll leave big, wonderful pieces of crisp topping. And I know we personally like big chunks of crisp topping in our coffee cake. It kind of, for us, is what makes a coffee cake. All right, we got our topping on there. Oh, this last little bit in there. Yeah. Now, if you don't like the big chunks of crisp, you are more than welcome to, you know, break them up finer. Like I said, you want to make it for you. You know, you are the one that's eating this. You know, you and your family. So if that's what you and your family like, you know, do it. Don't do the big chunks. Do the little chunks. We like big. I just know that. This is how we made it the last time. Sorry, I'm just getting the crumbs off the edges so they don't burn to the glass. Alright, so let's talk about what we got to do with this. We are going to cook this, cook it, bake it for 50 to 60 minutes. Okay? Now I say 50 to 60 because your oven is different than my oven. My oven is different than their oven. You know, everybody's oven's a little different. You want to start checking at about 45 minutes. I know in my oven, 50 minutes is good. And about halfway through at a 25-minute mark, I'm going to take it and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees front to back. Okay? Because I know my oven doesn't bake evenly and I don't want one spot looking darker than the other side. So I rotate it. It just helps for even baking. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven, and when I get back, I'll pull it out. When it's done, I'll let it cool for about 10 minutes, and then when I come back, we'll give it a taste. All right? Be back in a minute. So we're really on the home stretch now. We went ahead, we baked it. I baked it in the oven for 50 minutes. Remember, 50 to 60 minutes. Start checking at about 45. Like I said, mine was 50. Here, I'll bring it down a little bit, and we'll look at the end result. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
All right, there is that. Now, I did let it cool for about 15-20 minutes, but here is our wonderful looking coffee cake. All right. So let's go ahead and get us a plate real quick. We'll get out the fine china. Fine china. I love this stuff. It's easy to compose or compost. So then we're going to take our offset spatula. You can also just use a regular knife for this. And we're going to just make sure everything's off the edge. Yeah, that way we can, it doesn't stick. We want to make sure it's not sticking on the sides. Yeah. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get us a piece cut. We'll see how it turned out. Grab us a nice corner here. I like the corners. I know not everybody does, but I do. There is that. Then we'll grab the pie spatula because somehow my little spatula came up missing. And we'll get that out. All right, let's see how it looks. And there is our piece. We got a layer of filling in there plus the filling on the top. And I can already tell you just by you push on that, look how that is. That's so nice and moist. Go ahead and put your sugar in. So I got something exciting to show you as soon as I try this because it's going to be, I think, very efficient. We're trying something new that I will share with you in another video. But right now we're talking all things coffee cake. Yep, tastes just like the last time. Delicious. This coffee cake is still a little warm. You want to serve it warm. It's okay to put your piece in the microwave for about 15-20 seconds. Get it a little warmed up. But this recipe hasn't failed. That crisp topping is absolutely amazing. And the cinnamon filling in the middle, or the brown sugar filling in the middle, is great. And this thing is super moist. So, that being said, give it a shot. Let me know what you think. You know, if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, you think it's horrible, let me know. But I know we enjoy it, and I really think you will too. So, real quick, coolest thing in the world. This thing right here. We just picked it up. It is made by the Ball Company, same people that make our canning jars. And it is a jelly jam maker. An electric one. So you would ask yourself, why? Well, here's why. We normally make it in a crock pot and it takes about 8 hours to cook down. That bad boy there takes 30 minutes and the jam is ready to be processed. So instead of doing six jelly jars worth in a crock pot and taking 8 hours plus time to water bath can it, which takes 20 minutes, we can do 4 jars every 30 minutes, which means I can do essentially triple the jars in half the time it takes to do 6 jars. So, but we're trying it out. This is our first batch. We're making blackberry jam right now. We're going to see how it turns out, following the processes. Hopefully it works well. Either way, we're going to video making some of the jam, whether it turns out good or not, just to show you the good, the bad, the pros, and the cons of it. And see if it's something that we might want to say, hey, you might want to look into this if you're into making your own jams and jellies. All right, well, I'm going to finish eating my piece of coffee cake, and dinner should be here in just a moment. So, I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. It'll make their day a whole lot better, I promise. All right, you have a great day, and I hope you try this product. All right, thanks a lot, and bye.